Hello, everyone. Welcome to Love Qualified, a ministry that is dedicated to encouraging others to experience the sovereign love of the one true God who has qualified us to be his beloved ones. My name is Joni. I am a Christian romance author. I've published 3 novels and 2 devotionals. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing 6 self-publishing mistakes that I made as a debut indie author or debut self-published author, or I suppose you can call it 6 things that I wish I knew before I published my very first book. So if you're interested in that, then keep watching. I published my very first book, Outpourings of a Beloved Heart, the 30-day poetry devotional, when I was in my undergrad year at university. So I was in my final year at university. I knew nothing about self-publishing. All the stuff that I knew about self-publishing was just through YouTube videos, watching lots and lots of YouTube videos, following other authors online, and I just decided to take the plunge and just publish the book. God gave me the story, I wrote it down, I edited it, formatted it, and I just decided to give it a go. Fast forward to 3 years later in 2021, when I published my debut novel, The One Who Knows Me. I was a little more prepared because I had at least 3 years of writing experience, and I had more time to learn more stuff about the self-publishing industry. So I was able to create a better launch strategy for my debut novel. However, there were still some mistakes that I made, and I just thought I would discuss those with you just so that we can learn from each other. And obviously, if you guys want to share the mistakes that you made as well, you can leave the comments down below so we can learn from each other, especially for up and coming indie authors. I hope that you'd be able to learn from these mistakes. So without further ado, let's dive into it. The first mistake that I would say I made both times, so for my first and second book, so for the poetry devotional and my first novel, is not understanding who my ideal readers were. So up until today, I still struggle a lot with marketing my debut book, so the poetry devotional, just because I just didn't know who my ideal readers were, and I didn't understand a lot about my ideal readers. I didn't have a specific sort of profile of who I was writing that book for. In my head, I just thought I was writing for everyone and anyone who was interested in a devotional. So obviously in the first few years, I had a lot of my friends and family that purchased the book, and over time, I would say at the moment, because a lot of people have bought my debut novels and my other novels, they have now stumbled upon that devotional and they have bought it as well. But I found that the niche for that devotional is a very small niche, so I didn't understand that was what I was dealing with, so I struggled to market it. And then the second thing that the second mistake that I made that ties into the first mistake is that I didn't know where to find my ideal readers. And that also applies to my debut novel as well. So as much as I didn't know who they were, like I didn't have an actual profile specific features of who they were, I also didn't know where to find them. So again, relying on different platforms on social media or word of mouth and just marketing to everybody and anybody without having actual specific targets of who you're looking for, it just made marketing very difficult for me in those first few months. So I didn't know where they were. And the third mistake I made, which again ties in with the first 2, is that I didn't know how to engage with my ideal readers on the different author platforms that I had. So the very first platform that I was on heavily on, I think YouTube was one of them. So I documented my writing journey here on YouTube when I was writing both the devotional and also my debut novel. But then I also was on Instagram a lot. But the thing about Instagram is that I attracted more authors. And when I started sharing about my writing journey, I didn't know what sort of content to put out there to attract readers. So I learned that quite late in the game, that the following I had were a lot of authors. So I couldn't really use that platform very much to raise awareness about the book to my ideal readers, because I had a lot of authors following me who were following my journey per se, but they weren't necessarily my ideal readers. So I didn't know how to engage with my ideal readers on my different author platforms. It's only now, a few years later, that I've been able to implement some marketing strategies and found the actual platforms where my ideal readers are. So at the moment, I've found, and I've spoken about this before, that my most successful platform where I've been able to reach my ideal readers so far is TikTok, and that's because the algorithm works really well with targeting ideal readers, using the right hooks for your story, and talking about these books and talking about the need that the book fulfills and the specific gap in the market that the problem that the book is solving. You're able to reach those people who the book is meant for. And in 2022, I believe, when I wrote my author business plan, there's a section in the author business plan which asks for your I think it asks for your ideal reader also. So I had to literally sit down, think about who my ideal reader is, the age group. Is it like men or women? Is it like 18 to 25, 18 to 35? Where exactly they are? Is it like only African readers, or is it African Americans as well? Is it like people all over the world? So I had to really, really sit down and think about that. And I thought, once I understood who my ideal readers were and I understood the platform where a lot of them were hanging out, I then found out different strategies to be able to engage with them. The fourth mistake that I would say I made, or something that I wish I had done earlier, is that I didn't start my newsletter early enough. Yes, I started my newsletter in 2020, and I didn't publish my first novel until 2021. But the reason why I didn't start it early is because I didn't even know that was something that was important. So when I published my first book in 2018, I didn't know what a newsletter was. I didn't know that's something that I needed to do to be able to build my audience. Again, I was still learning a lot. So I wish I'd started my newsletter like a lot earlier before I published my first book. But like I said, I didn't know what I was doing when I published my first book. Okay. It was only after, doing a lot more research in 2020, I realized, okay, I need an author website. And then I went on Wix and got an author website. And I created a newsletter, and I started researching sort of things that I could share in my newsletter to try and build the audience. And thank God we've been building the newsletter the mailing list since 2020. I wish I had started earlier, and I wish I'd engaged with more people. But anyway, we started it in the end, and we've been having lots of fun over there. So if you're not subscribed to my mailing list or my author newsletter, it's free. The link to sign up is down below. You are going to be the first to know about everything from publication news. You'll be the first to know about cover reveals, title reveals, just the behind the scenes of the life of being an author. There's a lot of things about my life that I don't share on social media, but my newsletter subscriber gets all the scoop. So if you want to be part of that family and just to support me more, then the link to sign up is in the description box. So the next thing, I think the fourth or fifth thing the mistake that I would say that I made, is that for the launch of my debut novel, I used a launch strategy called influencer marketing, where I contacted like a whole list. Like I had a list of almost like 50 like Christian bookstagrammers, and so they're basically influencers, basically, because they have followings. So I basically did this influencer marketing where I contacted them and I asked if I could send them an advance reader copy of my book, and I asked them to just read it and leave a review. Now, the reason why I consider this as a mistake is because, or like a kind of like a waste of time, is because I didn't understand who my ideal readers were. I was just going for following, so I was contacting anybody and everybody. But a lot of these influencers that I contacted, their following, where the people who were following them were not my ideal readers, and they themselves were not my ideal readers. So it just ties down to the first 3 points that I mentioned, really. So it was kind of like a waste of time for a lot of these. Don't get me wrong, I made amazing friends from doing that, and that was just one of the things that helped me as a debut author to put myself out there, and just make those connections. As an introvert like I am, I was able to make lots of connections. I made lots of reader friends, lots of author friends. They were now good friends now, and we critique each other's work and do beta reading for each other. So that was amazing, something to do. But if I were to do that again, I would make sure that I would choose influencers that are my ideal readers and just look at the kind of books that they post about, and the kind of people that follow them, really, if they meet the need that my book fulfills. So yeah, that's basically the fifth thing or mistake that I made, or something I wish I would have done differently. And then the last thing, I suppose it's just like a bonus, really. It's one thing that I've learned as years have passed. It's just that I was so excited about self-publishing, and you see a lot of overnight success stories. There's no overnight success story, by the way. About self-published authors who do so well, and you try and compare your journey with others. So basically, one thing that I wish I had not done is just just not superly being excited to expect like results so quickly. I now understand that this process is a long game, and it's a business, right? It's a business that God has helped me build from the very beginning. I've been building this business since 2018 pretty much, and it's been so many years of like slow growth, but it has been growing. It took me 2 years from publishing my debut novel to break even on this business. And so success may be slow in self-publishing, but consistency is key. That's one thing that I've learned, and it's a mistake that I didn't understand. It's something that I thought it was going to be quick. So I was a bit discouraged at the beginning of time, the beginning of things, especially after I published my debut novel, where after the initial launch, a lot of the people who were hyping you up, that bought your book. And then in the months that followed, everything was just like crickets. I had to learn that it's a long game. It's not just about the book launch itself. It's a long game. So you have to put in place strategies, marketing strategies that will help you in the long run. Okay, so that's something that I have been learning. That's something that I have been implementing, that God has really been helping me with. And that's how I'm able to sort of help turn this business into more of like a heavily on the passive income side of things, because I'm able to implement those marketing strategies that can help the business running in the background after me putting the work up front. It's not easy, running a self-publishing business or an indie author business. You're going to make so many mistakes, and you're going to learn along the way. These are just some of the mistakes that I made and some of the things that I've learned, but I thought I'd share them with you today. So yeah, those are all the stuff that I wanted to share with you today. If you are new to self-publishing and you want to know just how to get started and all the steps that you need to self-publish your first book, or just to self-publish a book in period, I made a video outlining those steps for you, all the things that you need to self-publish a book, and I'm going to leave the link on the screen. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember that the sovereign love of the one true God has qualified you to be his beloved one. Take care and God bless you. Mwah. Bye.